I have a heart condition. I sweat a lot and very fast in one big shot. Pussy, warm, wet, mouth, warm, wet.
At the end of the day, that's what we all think now.
My name is God. I killed Satan.
Ah, yes, that's me. That's my New York Times piece.
Why are you made out of snakes? If I pull one snake out, they'll fall apart.
Take heed. These Woo! Year 2. I hope you guys are ready for nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Just production tags. We got producers for every episode now.
But we've completely expelled everything we could possibly talk about.
We kind of realized that anything and everything that could have been talked about was discussed in year 1.
We can't think of anything we haven't mentioned. If you can, I guess, submit to us.
I guess. I mean, do we have any way of getting in contact with us at all?
I don't think so. Year 2, we're going off the grid.
Okay, yeah, because I know we
will only be playing the next episodes from here on out on different street corners.
You will only be.
We will not tell you which street corners
ever.
But there's a probability.
There's a chance that if you go to some like used album stores, you could get some episodes on cassette.
Yeah.
But they're going to be inconsistent, and the cassettes are going to be like part 1 of 6, and not all 6 parts are going to be there.
Of course.
Because some kid went in and like ripped open the packaging and just like pulled one out. It was like,
we're working on getting them on Laserdisc. I've heard that is the future of technology.
I heard that Laserdisc stock is going up and that you should be investing right now.
It has to. It makes the most sense. I feel like we really skipped over Laserdisc. No one wants a big vinyl record-sized Laserdisc to put in a gigantic machine and watch a movie.
Yeah, I guess not.
You know how many times I find fucking albums? Like I find like Night of the Living Dead and I'm like, oh, on vinyl?
And it's a Laserdisc.
Crazy. And I pull it out and I'm like, what a bunch of bullshit garbage. I've never even seen one of these in action.
I've seen laser discs in person, but I've never seen a laser disc player in
that's
person.
what I mean. I've never watched a laser
But like,
disc.
have you seen like the players at least? Like,
yeah, they're gigantic. There's like, who thought that was the good
What's worse,
idea?
the laser track or the 8-track?
Laserdisc, for sure. 8 tracks made sense because it was...
But there's only 8 tracks.
Yeah, but that was all they had.
True.
Record, it feels like they were like, they should have waited and just made CDs and DVDs. And they're like, vinyl, let's fucking make it into a big disc, right? Put it in, watch it on your TV. Spend a lot of weird money on. Imagine the people who bought laser discs and a bunch of laser discs,
and everybody thought they were like the future and shit.
Forever. You losers watching VHS.
I want to know the guy who refuses to buy like DVDs and Blu-rays because he was sold on laser discs.
Hasn't watched a new movie in 20 years.
Yeah, he's like, I don't stream. I don't know what the fuck that shit is.
Well, yeah, now everything's obsolete. I don't even know what to do with my CDs and
Would
DVDs.
you even buy? I can't remember the last time you even bought a movie. Like, why would you buy a movie?
I bought Straight Outta Compton because I wanted to watch the special features, and I've never watched it.
Yeah, so you spent like $23 on a Blu-ray that's just sitting in your house?
It's not even a Blu-ray. I don't know. My fucking computer doesn't even have a disc drive.
So
I'm like, what do you even do anymore?
Put it in your Xbox?
I have a PlayStation because I'm an adult.
Same.
So yeah, I watched a DVD on my PlayStation not too long ago. It was a skate video.
Was Andy Roy in it?
No, it was Baker 3, the best skate video of all time.
It doesn't have Andy Roy, so it can't be the best skate video of all time.
No, I think he's only in one skate video, actually.
Interesting.
Then he had some
Everything else is just infamy?
Yeah, just tall tales and prison sentences. You know, like we all dream of.
Oh, God.
Speaking of prison sentences, go to www.dapperdadspodcast.com. The whole page is behind bars. You have to free our website. It's a fun online game.
Free Dapper Dads. They didn't do nothing wrong.
Yep. And from there you can buy new merch. Maybe new merch. Maybe
Possibly.
in the video.
We've got some little Easter egg for everybody in the video if you check it out.
If you're still watching the video, thank you for everyone for watching the year 1 video. Wasn't it spectacular?
That was
gotten good feedback. Not one person told us we were stupid.
Which is usually a mark of indication that it's good.
Yes.
I usually judge things as being good by implying that they're not stupid.
Yeah. Well, how often we're called stupid in public? Kind of.
Especially yesterday. That was a lot, I feel like.
Stupid in public.
I can admit that towards the end of the evening I was being very stupid in public, but
I mean,
beginning,
middle, and the whole sandwich.
I mean, when you're a monster everywhere you go, you get
stupidity sandwich.
A whole horrible fuck sandwich.
Stuck between 2 slices of stupidity. Also, email us.
Sounds really good.
At dapperdadspodcast@gmail.com. I don't know what you want to email us, but if you do, That's where you would do
We had
it.
asked for soapy breasts last year. I'm thinking this year soapy vaginas. Clean up them greasy pussies.
No. What we're going to do is keep it classy. Send us French maids.
Just French maids?
Just French maids. They don't have to be nude.
I would prefer it.
I would like it to be implied that they're about to be nude.
I
like
would...
a lowering of the top, but... I like
a lifting of the bottom. That's what I'd prefer.
I think that's what you always prefer.
Tell me about it.
I'm more of a top down. You're more of a bottoms up.
I woke up to not a Father's Day text today. That was good.
I mean, it's not Father's Day, so it would be very peculiar.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
No, happy a Father's Day.
I have 2 questions. 1, what calendar are you looking at?
Is it Gregorian?
And 2, what bitch is this?
1, I don't have your number saved.
New
Who
phone.
is this? 2,
never text again.
1, new phone. Who's this? 2, what Gregorian calendar do you follow?
Also, call us at 4027 Dapper. That's 4027-327737.
We got all the details. You can text us. We got secrets.
Yeah, text us because everybody hates to leave voicemails.
Everybody does, apparently. Like, we really wanted people to leave voicemails.
No one's voice is nice.
No, you think we like hearing our voices on this? Especially right now. I'm going to have to listen back to my voice on this playback and hear how fucked it sounds today, and it's just going to sound terrible.
I mean, it is what it is, folks. You can't change your voice. I'm trying. We're trying to raise money. Please donate to our PayPal. We don't know what it is.
No, but if you can find it, give us some money.
If you can find it, you have to give us $100.
It's a fact. Once you click on the page, it won't let you leave. It's one of those things where it locks your computer up.
Virus. Virus alert.
We have all the porn you've been watching, and we're going to send it to your entire work email list unless you send us $100 fucking dollars. You horrible fuck.
Such a professional thing. Send us $100 fucking dollars, or we'll send the porn to the people. You know.
I mean, I figured it was going to be a video of us like wearing bandanas from the mouth down and like dark sunglasses.
Oh yeah, we do need a bandana, dark sunglasses video.
I'm saying
to come back on us later.
Yeah, I'm talking like real dark like internet threats.
I mean, that's all I do on the internet.
I mean, I don't
if you don't listen to my fucking stupid podcast, I'll kill your family.
Technically, I don't know what you're doing when you're not here unless I'm with you. And when I am with you, it's insane.
You seem to think that I live a clean, normal life, but...
Well, I mean, I don't know what I was doing the other day, but it was something wild. And then I had gotten a snap from you of a doggy play date. So.
I mean, I have my moments.
Of lucidity.
That day, I pulled up into my driveway, and there was a very strange bird, and just standing, real long legs.
What defines a strange bird?
Small, super long legs, and it was hopping a lot.
Sounds like a water bird if it's got the long legs,
right? And
but what's it doing so far from the water?
It was just jumping around in my yard, and I was like, so I parked my car and I got out, and I was like, I gotta figure out what the fuck this is. And it was just hopping away. So then I was like, oh, is it like injured and it can't fly? I'm going to have to call like one of those places.
Like animal control or something.
Thing.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get closer to it, but then I ran it into my street and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. And the car just comes and murders it.
Kiki,
and then,
do you love me?
And then it did a little fly. And I was like, yeah, I don't think it can fly. And then it flew majestically into a tree. And I was like, well, what are you doing? So I went to turn around and go in my house, and I stepped on something that I thought was a toad, because there's a lot of weird toads in my yard, and it was a bird. I gently stepped on a bird, and it squawked and flew under my neighbor's fence, and then the hawk went for it. So the hawk, I'm guessing it was a hawk, weird long-legged hawk, real sexy hawk.
Real sexy hawk with some big gams on it.
Real seductive hawk is trying to drag me into the street.
Hawk's just sitting there pulling its little legs up. You're like,
it gets me in the street, and another hawk runs over me, it empties my pockets. My neighborhood has a big hawk. A lot of hawk on hawk crime.
I'm gonna say you're getting doubled up by the hawk gang.
Yeah, you know me. But yeah, I gently stepped
Watch out for
on
them
a
hawk
bird.
boys.
Gently stepped on a bird, which would have been upsetting, but it was gonna die.
It's upsetting to me.
Well, it was gonna die either way. Was how I found peace with gently stepping.
Because
on
the hawk killed it right afterwards.
Yeah, I think the hawk was killing it. That's what it was doing, and then I interrupted its meal. But then it definitely got it afterwards.
It seems like you assisted it in its meal. It was probably grateful for you.
I mean, I haven't seen it since. We do have a woodchuck problem, and my dog is gonna eat it. I think it bit its butt the other day.
Interesting.
It's very...
Make sure you send me videos of when Nelly catches that thing, just thrashing it around in a figure eight motion.
I'm going to be upset, but it's too ballsy. It just comes in my yard, and it's way too slow. And I'm like, what? And then you'll just like be quiet for a minute and it just walks back out, and I'm like, there's a dog that wants to murder you.
Like kill
Yeah.
you.
So yeah, it's like a National Geographic in my fucking yard.
Ugh.
But I do other things too.
Like?
You know, general shenanigans.
True.
And whatnot.
So, do we want to get into last night, or should I tell that fucked up thing I want to talk about?
I feel like you should never tell the fucked up thing.
I'm gonna tell it.
Well, yeah, let's get in it. Well, let's because we touched on it on the 1 year episode, but that was more for memories and whatnot. But we've been in Chicago the past 3 weekends in a row.
It's a lot.
Because we didn't even establish the first one. We went to see Kweku Collins.
Yes.
And it was incredible.
Then
and you ruined my life first, and then we saw Kweku.
How did I ruin your life that day?
You made me drive to downtown Chicago.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But then you punched me in the face later, so I feel like
that was unrelated, and that was an excitement punch that you got in the way of.
But still, it was a punch to the face, so I feel like...
If we're going to be shoot dancing, you know I get to punch him.
Yeah, that's
a
fair.
Shoot dance is basically just a punch.
Yeah, it's basically just punching, and if someone gets in the way, it's their fault.
Or a really jerking off a really tall guy. Or a really
Up
short
here?
guy.
Down here.
Oh.
Up here?
That's the kind of porn
Down
we
here.
need to make. A girl
What,
shoot dancing, jerking off two men of completely different heights.
So you and me?
I think we need someone shorter than me.
Me and Kurd.
Yeah. Yeah, Kurt's got that low hanger.
Shoot, like the low hanger.
We
Why do you
also
think he's always slouching?
smoked a cigarette outside during the show.
Yeah.
Because the opener played a Frank Ocean song and then
claimed it was
credited
original.
it herself. So I don't remember what your name is, but if you want to talk blasphemy in front of my goddamn face,
You have a tattoo of Frank Ocean.
yes,
You cannot
I
blaspheme
do. You
Frank
can't
Ocean in front of
fucking
us.
Pretend that
If you
you
heard
wrote
how emotionally
Ivy.
the group of the four of us can sing Frank Ocean in a car at 3 a.m, you would not be stealing Frank Ocean songs and claiming them as your own bitch.
No, not in front of me. But we stepped outside to smoke a cigarette and talk about life as we like to
Take in
do.
the evening, have a gentleman's conversation.
Yes, very gentlemanly. I believe I was talking about buying a property across the street and shitting in what appeared to be a small triangle room.
I believe I mentioned I had a hemorrhoid, and you said that sounds like a problem, and I said, don't worry, I pushed it back in.
No, I offered to push it in, and you told me you already had.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I wasn't wanting to bring that up on here. But
And then we
here
finished the
are.
dart, and then looked up, and there was suddenly a car accident.
Oh, we tried to go in the door that they had just let us out of, and it was locked, which I think was them trying to stop us from gaining re-entry. So we had to go to the front and watch a car crash that we may or may not have done with our minds.
It was one of those awful Chicago ones too, because like you heard like the poof, like the bumpers connect, and then they like pulled up like they were gonna stop, and then they and just skirted around and drove
minivan,
off.
and you could tell he was trying to duck out, and I screamed, "Get the license plate!" And then he slammed on his brakes, and I like to think that I was gonna do something, but then he pulled the fake. We're both pulling over, and then he took off and ran a red light as well.
Yeah, it was insanity. That guy must have had no insurance.
And you always forget how Chicago really is until you see that, and you're like, damn, and you look around and no one gives like the
Like a
slightest
shit
fuck at
at
all. Everyone's
all.
looking at their phones and walking in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Just another day in the city.
We were
Big Apple.
I would say we were yelling, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is wrong with those guys?"
Look at those pieces of shit yelling about a minor car crash.
Yeah, in a busy intersection in Chicago.
But yeah, then we saw Kweku, and it was great. The
was
opener
wonderful.
as well. Johnny Jones.
Johnny Jones. He's somebody I've actually been really checking out a lot.
Yeah,
His
I did
music
as
is
well.
really, really fantastic. A couple of Kweku collaborations.
Yeah, he's
he
on
has that are
Close
fantastic.
Sessions, which is the record label Kweku's on.
And Kweku
That
was wonderful. I'd never seen him
Kweku
before.
is great. He was a little loose, which was very fun.
Yeah, he's finally 21 from what we understand. So he was pretty lit when he got up there.
Yeah, and celebrating Lollapalooza. Or Pitchfork. It was Pitchfork.
Yeah,
one.
because then he played Pitchfork Festival the next day.
But yeah, Johnny Jones was. You see a lot of openers, and you're like, yeah. But that was one of the openers.
He was
first openers
incredible.
in a long time that I've been like really like hyped about. And the other guy,
Yeah.
Sam. So I can't remember.
his
found
name
it
at all.
online. Something Sam. So Sam. Some series.
If you can send me his name, send me
Yeah,
his name.
I
Let me know,
found
'cause I
that
want to check out
song.
his tracks.
My dogs go to heaven. Your
Dogs go to heaven.
I found it. It's not as good not live because it was so hype.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got down there.
Like I can't imagine that. Like who that?
Yeah, it was.
Who that boy? Isn't just like it's got to be way crazier live than on the tape.
Yeah, it definitely was. But yeah, that was very impressive, and Kweku was great. That was Chicago trip number 1 of 3. And then, as we briefly mentioned last week, we saw Against Me for free at the Wicker Park Fest,
which was amazing.
Very good. I hadn't seen him in like over a decade, so it was quite a juxtaposition of being at Warped Tour and punching a man in the crotch because he crowd surf kicked me in the head. And yeah, it was a good time. And then we saw Boathouse do a DJ set that went from, it was one of those times where I'm like, oh fuck, I've brought them to something horrible. And we're all sitting on the phone, and then it got really wild.
Yeah, it got
really weird.
Yeah.
The perfect DJ set. Very awkward, not enough people, uncomfortable to be there that early. Super lit, perfect time of your life. Weird, you should have went home. No one's here now.
Yeah, and like he was playing a couple of bangers, and we're just like sitting there, and then Womp Womp came on, which I wish would have came on later in the evening.
Yes, if that would have come on at the peak of everything.
Oh, when it peaked, it was beautiful. It was a whole room full of people, and but then at one point everybody just left to fuck each other. So
it was very apparent.
And then it was just like us standing there like screaming rap songs at each other, and then he finally started playing some Pusha T, and they had to turn him off, and it's like
yeah, they really fucked you.
Well, and that was the day we also found out the Pusha T show got canceled because we were supposed to go see Pusha T with Valet and Sheck West at the rave on the 2nd, but that got canceled.
Yeah, so 2 Valet shows this year have been canceled, and if you know me, I've been crying myself to sleep about
We both have, and if you know Valet or can reach out to his people for us, see if you can get in contact with Pusha T for us, because he's technically his label president.
Yes.
So get in contact.
It's all his fault.
Get in contact with Pusha T from Slim about Valet.
If not, Andrew Barber. I'm sure you're listening.
Yeah.
You're Valet's manager, and we all love Fake Shore Drive, so
don't we all?
Set up a little show. That's reach out to us. We'll have Valet on the podcast. I'd like to talk to him about his woodworking skills.
I would love to talk to him about all the dogs.
Yes, the dogs definitely. I did get to ask him on that AMA about the dogs,
and
he said they'd be peeing backstage, and people don't like that. Which I feel like is fine.
Yeah, because, I mean, you don't want to be, like, loading up all the cables after the show and there's dog piss all over them.
I mean, fuck it. I'd be like, it was nice that dog was here.
Yeah. But then you're covered in piss.
I mean, it's not different from last night when we went to see Brockhampton.
For the 2nd time this year. Would have been the 3rd.
Yeah, would have been the 3rd. Would have been the 4th for some people.
Yeah.
Who are minor fans of Brockhampton. But yeah, so we started the night out at Richards. Finally got the whole dad squad back, which I think was the first time since Pew 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 that all of us have been there.
I think it was, yeah. Honestly, it felt really, really good to have the whole squad back together, just because it's like Brockhampton is like our band. If you fucked with the show before, if this is somehow your first episode, Brockhampton is like our favorite band in the entire world. We fucks with them.
I've been waiting since episode 53 to finally look into this.
You never know.
They made it over a year. I guess it means something.
But it was, Christ, it was a lot. It was I can't decide what was worse, that show or the rave show, because the show at the rave just
that one
was wild, but this one was smaller with the same amount of intensity. That was the problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird thing because I prefer the rave show because everyone was still involved.
Yeah.
But it was so hard to see and just exist in that.
Right.
4,000 people.
With this, it's like we actually got to like see them more.
At times it was. At one point, I was like, this looks like a fucking movie. Like I'm watching this because it was like very clear and like they were so close and it was so weird from seeing them at the rave.
So when they did Sister Nation, I got into one of the mosh pits that had happened, and it was. I've never thought I was going to die at concerts until this year, and it was both Brockhampton. The last time was during Heat. This time was during.
I did die during Heat.
This time was during Sister Nation, and then Boogie at the very end, because everyone went nuts during Boogie.
I was not prepared for Boogie. I'll say I was exhausted.
I
didn't think that's what was going to happen.
See, I knew it was coming because I
knew it was going to be played, but I had forgotten. And they did something like they all stood there, and the music was different. And even when it started, it took me a minute to realize what was going on. And then I was like, oh.
Well, because what they did was they what was the festival we had watched at my old place? You, me, and Kurd.
Coachella.
We had watched them at Coachella, and they had like a string section come out and play with them, and it seems like they sampled a lot of that at this show.
They've incorporated it in there.
And so, because like Sweet, the main like synth part on that is a string part now, and then so for Boogie, it's the da na na na
Yeah. And it took me a minute to figure out what was going on.
And I heard it, and I'm like, okay. And like, I could see that like you weren't ready for it.
No.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is it, because Boogie's like my jam. And as soon as it started, I went straight up into the air, about 30
I was
feet.
doing a lot of high jumps.
Yeah, there was several high jumps during that show.
I don't know how I jump so high. Sometimes while I'm jumping, I'm like looking down at everything. And
yeah.
Like, am I just?
How do you think I feel?
I know you're. A
how do you think people? How do you think people felt seeing me jump straight up in that crowd?
I hate being behind you when you first get excited because you're just stomping on my feet and you're an unstoppable force.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just a large mass of energy.
You can't stop me at Brockhampton, man. I get
can't
too
stop
hyped
you
up.
at a lot of things. I've seen you during warm-up DJs, not even playing that great of songs, and you're jumping on me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Sounds about
I
right.
have to separate from them.
Yeah.
Which
would be the first time I've heard that.
Yeah. Well, you go off into. I loved at whatever point it was after. I think it was Sister Nation. I looked and you were all the way to the left. And the rest of us found each other and we looked because it's so easy to find you. You're my favorite person to lose because you're not lost for long.
Yeah.
You just do a scan and you're found immediately. You try to find Kurd. And you grabbed the wrong guy.
See, I kept looking for you. I kept looking for your hat. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, my hat, I don't know how I've managed to keep the hat at this point. I've worn this hat for like 2 years at least. And every show pretty much it gets knocked off. And this was the most recent time where I've accepted it as a loss because I'm pretty sure Kurt had the water, the expensive water.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure in one fell swoop, his water exploded and a lot of it was onto me, which I was like, whatever. And my hat flew off and I tried to look down and it was just people. And
it was like 2 songs in too, because
it
like
was immediately.
Yeah, it was like 2 songs in and we were all immediately sweaty. And then he just turned to us with the water that was like crunched up and he's like, just take it before it's gone.
It was like ripped and he's drinking out of the other side. And so my hat went and I like didn't even try to find it. And I was like, it's gone, which I'll accept it. I know how to buy another one if I need to. And then I just felt someone put it on my head and like smack my back. And I was like, it just can't be lost.
Ever.
When I seen Travis Scott and Young Thug was the other time I like lost it heavily. And it was like a whole song. And I was just like, damn. And it was a newer hat at that point. I was like, fuck. I'll just buy another one. And then it just hit me in the face. Someone found it and must have realized it was me and just threw it at my face. And I was like, it can't be gone.
I mean, you have to improvise ways to communicate with people at concerts like that. At one point, when I was in that pit that's where I was all the way over on the left.
Yeah.
That's when I was grabbed. I'm just going to say this right now. As a man, I've never like made an advance on someone that made people uncomfortable, but I had an advance made on me last night. It felt like I was in a mosh pit and I was going crazy. I was doing my thing. Yeah. There's 60 feet of me. It was thrashing around a lot. Upsetting everyone around me. But then there was like, obviously it's a bunch of men thrashing around and I could just hear women screaming the whole time during the show. They were like, oh my God, why is everyone shoving? It's like, what did you think? We were just going to show up and get like, okay, because it seems like most of those kids came from Lala. So they probably saw the Brockhampton set.
Yeah.
So
it's like, had to have been even more of a nightmare.
Like it had to be even crazier. A buddy of mine went and I saw a snap of him afterwards and he was also sweaty, shirtless, and fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, especially at a festival, like there's no escaping it.
No.
With 1,000 people, I much.
But I was grabbed at one point by several men who put their hands on my shoulders, looked at me and said, we got a big guy now. And it was right at the part where they thought the pits were going to keep opening up in Sister.
That was my favorite part of the whole show when it gets calm and they were like, clear the pit. And then it was just a big circle. And then I loved when they thought the beat was going to drop and it doesn't. And a couple of them like started and then realized it was weird. And then it was just a bunch of men standing in a weird circle.
Yeah, which nobody enjoys.
No, I was like, we're losing some. That's some of my problems sometimes when the mosh pit is like random and people open it up. I'm like, now we're so crammed together. Or when you're waiting and you're just like next to 1,000 people. And
I definitely can't remember.
I just wanted to start so I can breathe a little.
Yeah, no, and they took forever to get started too because the doors opened at
an hour
and a half.
Yeah,
because the doors opened at 10.
Yeah,
and we got in around 10:30 with the line and everything like that. Show did not start till 11:30.
Yeah, and it was great at first, like talking shit, and I bought a $9 beer. and chugged it and stood there, and it's fun like that. I don't mind. And then you get to a point where you're just like
we have been,
and then your anxiety kicks in, and
yeah.
you realize you're just in a room of 1,000 people and nothing's happening.
And all I kept thinking, I was like, boy, I hope nobody brought a gun, but I didn't want to mention it because we were in a crowd.
I'm already going through it.
Yeah, I was sitting there and I was like, boy, this would be a prime opportunity just to.
I wonder how many people think that then.
Well, I mean, there has to be. I mean, especially in today's like climate and everything, there has to be that thought. I mean, that's why security's so tight at those things, because
that man grabbed my balls
a
lot.
That man grabbed my stomach a lot, which made me uncomfortable because like I understand my pants are like pulled up along my waistline, but he was like.
Yeah, you gotta,
up in my folds, and it's like, bro, I'm not like hiding doinks in my belly button. Like, what do you think?
Have you seen that video where that really big man just has an AK-47 under
and he just lifts it up and catches it and just starts shooting?
That's what they gotta watch for.
That's the type of shooter I'm looking for.
That school video back in the day after like Columbine where they show that kid and he has all the guns and they're trying to emphasize like
wasn't he wearing Jankos though?
Yeah, and he pulls like a shotgun out of his pants and like all these guns, and they're like, see how many guns you can fit in. And I'm like, show him walking around.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Because
show me that guy sitting down on a bus.
His legs are just out.
And there's just like stocks sticking out of his shirt collar, and they're just like
30 clips.
Sir, do you have any weapons on you? No. Why?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so. I didn't leave the house with any.
Yeah. I mean, from the point I exited my home to now, like anything could happen.
I mean, I've
someone
been known
shoved
to
a gun down the back of my shirt, I can't be liable for that.
I've been known to pick up wares from vendors on the street, but I can't recall the last time I was able to freely purchase a firearm on a street corner.
What, just shoots through the shirt?
That's
totally normal. I have a heart condition.
I have a heart condition. I sweat a lot and very fast in one big shot.
It's like cum, but out of my pores.
It's like cum out of one big pore in my back.
Yeah, you don't want to see it. Can I look at it? No.
Can I touch it?
Yeah. Can I see it?
Can I?
Can I give a little kiss? One of my favorite things that I forgot to mention last night, but dawned on me when I woke up this morning. They left the stage. Thank you, good night. And I don't get why so many people are like, that must be the end of it.
Yeah, everyone's
Goodbye.
like, let's just leave.
Which I like. That's why I love encores so much. Not that I necessarily need another song, because it's with them always one of the same songs you've heard. Yeah. Sometimes it's so many stars that you never fully recover.
Yeah.
This wasn't star for once, but I like when everybody leaves, because then there's breathing room and you can get pretty close. But everybody left, and then when like you could tell something was happening. This guy ran up next to me. He had just went and purchased a $9 beer, and then everything started, and it felt like he purchased a $9 beer just to pour it all over the side of me, because like he had it, and I seen him take one sip, and then he got shoved, and I watched it, and it literally soaked the entire side of my body. Jeez. And I was like, great, thanks for that $9 beer to douse me in. It was refreshing for me. But
yeah, so it had to be nice and cold.
I'm like, you gotta chug those things if something's gonna start. You know how many shows
especially
I've been
when
to
you
where
hear
they're
that
coming
10.
out and you're like,
nah. And that song has an intro too. That's a 10-second countdown to chug your beer. 0, yeah. And then when the goes, you gotta throw it at the stage.
You throw it right at the person in front of you.
Throw it right at Kevin Abstract. Quick.
Yeah.
Ends the whole band.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen artists where people throw shoes at them and they end the entire show.
Well, and you know what's so fucked is like, so as I mentioned, Brockhampton's like my favorite band. I was standing there last night, sweaty, irritated that they hadn't started. Then the show started and everyone just kept shoving me. I am positive my kidneys are bruised because at one point during the end, I got like kicked or punched in the kidney, and I was just like, oh, and I had to have a bunch of people catch me because I almost fell down. And it's like during Sister, I got so close to the stage. I'm pretty sure I slapped Dom in the leg while he was rapping.
That's what he wants, I'm sure.
But I couldn't help it. There was a big man next to me who was wearing a black and white striped shirt, and he smelled like chicken pot pie.
He was very soft to fall into.
He was very soft to fall into.
I mean, if you got to get pushed into someone.
Yeah, but he was shoving very hard with his softness. He was very shoving.
Well, he gives and he takes. You want to talk about hard shoving? I was shoved so hard by Slim that I thought I was flying a little bit.
Yeah, that was an accident because it was one of those centripetal motion things, because I felt like two people shoving to my shoulders and I couldn't even stop myself, and so I was like, ugh.
Well, people have to team up to shove you, obviously.
It's like, who teamed up and wanted to shove me? That's what I want to know.
They were sick of standing behind you.
Matt and Cole.
Yeah, it is. A lot of times it is Matt and Cole.
Yeah,
it's weird because I'll get shoved. I got shoved so hard and I turn around. It's Kurt with the angry face.
Like the angriest
like he
face.
wants to kill someone. I'm like, shove other people too.
Man, he looked at me right before we went, don't call me.
Oh, I know.
Man, we
And
just
then
jumped
he was-
everywhere.
Yeah, he was jumping so much that everyone was shocked.
Yeah.
During that part, which, yeah, he gets very intense, and it's adorable.
It's so cute. Even though both Brockhampton shows we've almost died, I want to go see them again. Like if it
of
can't,
course.
like if I got a notification on my phone right now, they're like Brockhampton, Chicago, November 17th, and blah blah blah. I'd be like, where I go again?
What about Brockhampton tonight, Chicago, and we can get tickets? Would you do it all over again?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would. Too.
yeah, I'd go all weekend if I could. I would. I will never miss a Brockhampton show if I can.
Yeah, I mean,
Ever,
if it's
ever.
in our control. But and then afterwards, we were all very
Okay, so
sweaty.
Slim was up one. We'll just say that.
Yeah, messed up his own ass.
I was very sweaty after the show.
We
Like
were
okay,
all very
no,
sweaty.
like my whole shirt was just water.
Yes, my whole shirt was both of my shirts were
During
water.
the show, I could feel just sweat running
yeah.
down
and it
my
feels
chest.
like bugs.
Yeah, it feels like
It's the
bugs,
worst.
but it's sweat.
I kept getting it on my shins. When my shins get
Mm-hmm.
sweaty, I know. When we left, the shoes I was wearing are like kind of high tops. They were so soaked, it was a sensation I've never felt before in my life.
We left the venue and my shirt just felt so disgusting on my body. And this is the first time I have ever done this in my entire
I know.
life.
I was proud of you.
Thank you.
I was so sweaty, but my body's too dumpy and doughy and pale.
I popped my top off in the streets of
Yeah.
Chicago, folks, and I
Just
was
screaming.
just screaming, running around, waving it like a helicopter over my head,
Yep.
shirtless, not giving a shit who saw.
Yeah.
It was really liberating, actually. It felt really good.
I felt a little liberated just being involved in it,
Yeah.
especially when everyone else was peeing in the alley and I
Oh,
was standing
that
there
was-
and you were squatting shirtless.
I had to squat because my legs hurt
Yeah.
so bad. that
You weren't peeing. You
No.
stand up to pee.
I just had to squat.
You don't
because,
squat to pee?
No, I squat to pee out my butt,
Ah, yes.
as we all do.
And then you remained shirtless in the car for.
The whole ride
Well, then you
got nipply.
yeah, it got a little chilly when you finally, get your body cooled down
Yeah, I
after
got
an
my
hour.
yeah.
And then you requested your hoodie, which I thought you would put on like a normal person, but
No.
you just draped it over the front of yourself like a Snuggie.
Yeah, because I couldn't just take the seatbelt off on the highway. What if you suddenly decided to crash into the median?
But
and
then when
explode
we
into
finally took our
150
exit,
piglets?
you put your seatbelt on, so I was completely confused at what had happened. So I like to think this is another one of the times when one of us is like, I couldn't do this thing. And then you're like, you did that thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did do that thing.
Did I do that thing?
Yeah, I watched you put your seatbelt on because then I thought, I wonder when that happened. Has he been seatbeltless the whole time? Because I was talking a lot about crashing and killing us in
Yeah.
a comical sense, not a dark.
Well, no, it had to be buckled because that car does the beeping thing.
I
if the
know it
seatbelt's not
does, but I
buckled.
watched you buckle it on our exit. It does the beep thing only for 10 seconds. And who the fuck knows?
Yeah, probably.
It's probably why we were screaming songs.
Yeah,
You
probably.
unbuckled and we couldn't hear the alert.
Sounds about right.
'Cause
Yeah.
We were screaming.
We had a good Frank Ocean
the
session
singing
yesterday.
is just getting more and more intense.
It does.
It's
Like
going to get to a point. And I didn't get to. This is my Dapper Dad's challenge for all the listeners. We've never had one, and I think this is a fitting one. I haven't confirmed it with Slim, but I'm sure he's going to approve of it.
I'm already behind it.
Be in a public place and do that weird scream as loud as you can. That high pitched scream.
Now
that
let me
throat scream, that-
let me preface
I-
this. So I was at work the other day taking a wicked work shit because where I make a nickel, the boss makes a dime.
Yeah.
Got it right this time.
Yeah, at least you did it right for
And,
once. When I make money, the boss lets me shit.
Pretty much.
Like, ugh,
And so I'm in the big stall because I'm the big guy stretching out a little bit, and so I'm getting up.
I don't
on-
think that's what that stall's called. I
Well,
just want to interject here.
Seems like it was
I don't
made
think it
for
just
me.
says big man stall.
I'm pretty sure it is. Why do they have such a big man on the front?
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a handicap stall, but
I don't believe that.
I just like to think that this is your argument when you get into weird
Yeah.
situations when handicapped people are waiting to use the bathroom and you're like, sorry, big man stall.
My actual excuse is that when I went in there, all the other stalls were being occupied, and that was the only.
I
free
like
one.
that you have a game plan.
I always have a game plan because you know what the worst thing in the world is when you're sitting in the big old handicap stall at the end and you get out and there's like somebody in a chair just like staring at you angrily because like they got a shit and it's like, listen, man.
I like the term chair because it just makes me think someone got like a lawn chair from the garden section and it's just like arms crossed
because they got to shit so bad.
Yeah,
they had to
they're
sit down.
shitting in that chair.
There's shit
Look
everywhere.
at what you've done.
It's like one of those weird like lawn chairs that has the plastic like strips on it. It's just like
it's just squeezing
like
through the
being like cheese board out like a
one
Play-Doh
of those
mixer.
80s chairs that your parents had forever. I like to think it's like a current lawn chair and they're just shitting in it, but they're not like sitting up or anything. What do you think it's like to shit on a solid surface, but not like move your body at all? Just shit. Do you think it comes out?
That's a Dapper Dad's challenge right there.
That's the second one, but first you have to do.
Well, okay, so I'm standing, and so as I'm shitting, I hear like a kid run in the bathroom because you hear like the little feet, and then we have a stool in our bathroom that you can pull out from under the urinal, so you can stand up and get higher.
In that bathroom.
Yeah, and
you mean the one you were cooking up?
Yeah, and
I made this stool for you, kid. Get in here in the big man stall.
Fuck. Okay, we gotta edit that out.
No, that's exactly what you said verbatim.
But
I was there.
So the kid, so then I hear the kid washing his hands, and I'm like tucking my undershirt in, put my belt on, and then I hear the hand dryer start, and I hear just a ear piercing like those little kid screams where it's like
yeah, like you know what we're talking
like
about.
I
as
thought
hard as you
like
can
if you've ever been around
like,
a child like
okay,
the ones
so
so if you don't have kids, you haven't spent a lot of time around kids, you know, when you're at like fucking Walmart or something shopping and you just hear a kid that isn't getting a candy bar and they're just like
if you need to know what we're talking about, try to abduct a kid. That's the kind of scream.
We can't endorse that. Allegedly, there we go. And so
the good cover all of allegedly.
And so I hear a scream and I throw open the stall door because I'm a boss there, so I assumed it sounded like he might have like hit his head or like something like hurt him, and I look and he is just standing there with his hands under. Watch the video for this. His hands are underneath the thing and he's just looking straight up going and like smiling ear to ear, like he does this in every bathroom he goes to, like it's a joy thing for him, like it's a sensory thing that just makes him feel good.
Maybe he doesn't realize how loud he screams and he thinks it cancels each other out.
Well, I think he's probably trying to do it and see if he can like match. It sounded like he was trying to match the tone of the hair dryer because like it did something to my brain, and I like threw open that door and I had to give that kid the weirdest stink face because he just like saw me and like ran out. He probably assumed he was alone in there, like most kids do. They just kind of do whatever they want when they assume they're alone, you know. And he like saw me just staring in my work outfit and he just ran off the poor kid. Because can you imagine like being a child and you're just like woo wee doing my bathroom thing and like you see me step out and look at you like what the actual fuck.
And it's probably also because you're an employee, because I remember as a kid always like doing mischievous things in stores, and then you see an employee look at you, which now I realize no one gives a fuck about anything
at all.
But as a kid you're like, oh my god, that's like a level of authority and I can't do this.
What if he tells my mom I was screaming in the bathroom? She'll know.
I like to think he does that in their bathroom. The mom's just downstairs smoking his cigarette.
I like to think
I wish I had him aboard.
I like to think he does it like every time he goes to the bathroom, and this is somehow going to affect his dating life someday.
Oh yeah.
Like goes out to restaurants. Hey, I'll be right back. I gotta go take a leak. And like the girls
Which
just
is the best thing to say on a date. The
girls just I'm sorry, pardon me. I have to excuse myself. I'll be right back. And the girl's like on her phone. She's like, he's so nice. You know, he's this is so great. This is going so good. Just and you just hear like plates clatter and people like looking and stuff. And then you just hear like the door. All right, sorry.
So where did you go to school?
Sorry, where did you go to school? You just look so familiar. Like I feel like I've met you somewhere before. She's just looks like me the way I looked at him, and then he's just triggered. He just runs out of the restaurant.
And he can only get aroused by people that look like you.
If I had a nickel. I also can only be aroused by people that look like me, which means I usually fuck really tall girls with big bellies and little boobs.
I thought you just jerked off in the mirror.
I mean, oh my god, you ever accidentally catch a peep at yourself in the mirror jerking off? Especially when like you're like tired and like kind of fucked up and you're jerking off, and then like
your posture's not great.
Your posture's bad, your gut's hanging out and stuff. You're just pulling your stupid shit, and you're like, does anybody like this? Is someone supposed to like this?
The worst is post jerk off. You catch a glimpse.
Oh my god, that post jerk off shame when you're still like gripping your dick because like you don't know what to do.
Anymore.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's just soft, but you're like, I don't.
Flaccid and sad.
Flaccid and wet.
I like to think that child screams every time he dries his hands. So even if it's just a paper towel scenario, he's just like the one where you have to put your hand under it and it's like, and you try to do it several times and it won't just keep giving you. And he's just like.
I hope that kid's okay. Like, I
But
just
yeah,
hope
the
he gets it
Dapper
figured
Dad's
out.
challenge is in a public place, do that scream as loud as you can
while
like
drying
that
your hand.
high-pitched
Like that.
scream. Not even drying your hands, just we'll take it anywhere.
We'll take it
Public place,
anywhere. Get a film of it.
Yeah, send a video. Yes, get a film of it. Get it developed at your local Walgreens.
I'm gonna go ahead and
35 millimeter.
I'll go ahead and say free T-shirt.
Yeah,
For the best one.
Yeah, the best one.
Let's say the best Dapper Dad's challenge gets a free T-shirt.
Your choice of any merch we have.
Yeah, any
If
merchandise.
you don't wear T-shirts and you're constantly topless, we respect you and
we
we'll
got
give you a
cozies
mug.
and stickers. We got mugs.
We have koozies. The koozies are free. Anyone can have a koozie.
Yeah, just
but
get
if you want
at
to
us.
scream for a
Check out
koozie,
these
then
sweet koozies.
scream for a koozie. Scream for any merch. We'll make you a shirt that says "I screamed for the Dapper Dads."
We will. That'll be the shirt that you can have.
Yeah,
and we'll
you can
put
have
your
anything,
picture on
but
the
we'll
front.
also make that shirt.
Yeah, we will absolutely
do
make
whatever we want.
Okay, so when we got home last night, I was just laying in bed watching Simpsons, trying to unwind and stuff like that, scrolling through Facebook, and I'm in a film group where people talk about, like, you know, the level of artistry in different films and stuff like that, and somebody was making the point that he could list, I think it was 12 classic films that you could watch, and it exhibited like a great amount of like acting versatility and production and visuals and stuff like that, and it was the same amount of time as every Marvel movie put together. And the point was that in each Marvel movie, it's pretty much just like an ever-changing sequence of people fighting people.
Yeah.
And they win, fighting people, and they win. And they're saying that there wasn't a lot of like artistic merit to the Marvel films. And I'm looking at the films that they offered, and the thing is, some of them are like French films and some are like controversial films. Yeah. One was Avatar, which I found very strange.
Interesting.
And then
You mean the most controversial film of all time?
Well,
no blue people.
I thought that. And then I'm looking at these different films that are available, and one is a black and white picture of an elephant, like an old school like circus elephant, and the name of the film is Electrifying an Elephant.
Yeah,
and
I've heard of this.
And what it is it was commissioned by Thomas Edison. Now, what I was reading, because this piqued my interest right away, because I was like, a movie called.
I love
at first
executing elephants.
Well, see, I didn't think it was literal, but it turns out it's actually a very literal film.
They've done a lot of weird things.
Well, because
to
I mean, like,
elephants.
Dancing with Wolves wasn't a movie of a guy actually dancing with wolves, you know.
We
and
watched
so, like,
two different films.
Well, and so
I
like,
saw a film of a man dancing with wolves. Incredible.
Did you get it from the video store in Byron?
No, I
because odds are somebody probably just filmed that themselves.
I tried to watch it on the Fire Stick, and there was a mix-up, of course.
Like when
I'm gonna start uploading things I make to the Fire Stick under
would be
popular
great.
film names, just you naked with a bunch of wolves around you. Like,
so
this is
you
Dances
did
with
see what
Wolves.
I did when I got home last night.
Yeah, I mean, you were shirtless, and I knew it wasn't gonna end there.
I was just running through Chicago. You see me in the alley with a bunch of dogs running. You're like, man, how did you take over the whole pack already?
What kind of wolves?
You see me just in a circle surrounding him. You're like, Slim, bad Slim, hit me with a newspaper.
Spray you with a bottle of water. Stop it. That's the way, Shane.
Run away. I take a shit in the alley.
I mean, you did that either way.
Yeah, true.
I have proof.
Well, and so I saw the cover and it said electrifying an elephant. I assumed it was like a metaphor for something, you know, like it was an actual.
Giving it a lot of power.
No, I didn't even think it was necessarily about like
what
an
did
elephant.
you think it was?
I had no idea, but I went to Google and I typed in electrifying an elephant because I figured that would bring me some information. Turns out it is a 1 minute and 17-second film. Commissioned by Thomas Edison because at the time he had a bunch of patents in the DC current of electricity.
Yes,
and,
the DC universe.
Well, there's AC and DC. That's the band name.
Oh yeah. Finally, it all makes sense.
What if it didn't for you before that?
Where does Back in Black come into play with this technology you're speaking of?
Well, you have to turn the lights off. There has to be no AC or DC.
Okay.
Then you go back to black.
Sense. Highway to Hell. All the lights.
All the lights.
Okay.
Yeah. Too much electricity.
Wow, they really had a good concept going.
Well, and so what he was trying to do is he would go around and he would do numerous talks about how the AC current was like evil and that the DC current was the preferred method, and he would do like showing how strong and powerful DC electricity was. And this particular elephant was in a circus because back in the early 19th century, circuses were a big thing in America, sideshows, and performing and like elephant shows. And so this particular elephant was known as just like a bad elephant because she had really injured a man who, and I quote here, had burned the tip of her trunk with a lit cigar. And so, and that's where it seems like a lot of these stories I was reading came from, was that people were just shitty to the elephant, and the elephant reacted accordingly. And so, and what the film is the elephant like attacked the guy, and then it attacked several other people, and it was deemed a bad elephant by the circus owner because people were like, hey, you can't bring your circus to our town with this elephant. Yeah. And so what they did was they walked the elephant down Long Island in New York. This took place on Long Island. And they put these special like big wooden sandals that they made on the elephant with copper wire running through them. And they walked her out to a platform. And I just want to say that people are just evil. Like really, people are just evil altogether.
Especially back in the day.
Well, because they were talking about, and there's another elephant story that I need to bring up after this, which is the really fucked up one.
I feel like we shouldn't harp on this because it's very unpleasant.
Well, and basically it's the whole video is just, you see the elephant get electrocuted and like fall over. It's just like a 1 minute film. Yeah. And so
I don't even think that qualifies as a film.
It
1 minute?
Well, apparently Edison did this a lot where he would do like, not shock animals, obviously. He would shock animals a lot to prove that like
horrible fuck.
He was a horrible fuck.
Didn't he steal everything too?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just a piece of shit.
And so it turned into other articles about like circus elephants and like problematic elephants, and a picture came up that I thought was photoshopped, and it was a crane that had an elephant by the neck, and like the elephant was very clearly dead. Yeah. And the caption was like, "Marry the murderous elephant," and I looked into that. And this was an instance where they had hired a new guy in the circus, and he had prodded one of the elephants wrong, and it reacted really, really bad, and it picked the dude up and threw him down on the ground and then stomped on his head in front of like the whole circus. And but then right after that, the elephant calmed down, but the whole audience was like terrified because they just watched an elephant kill someone, and so they were calling for the elephant to be killed, and so everybody like ran out and left, and so the circus people had to decide what to do because once again, same problem. They were like, you can't bring your elephant to our town, we won't let you come here. And so they decided they had to kill the elephant. And then part of the article was they had to discuss the most effective way to dispose of the elephant, and one of them was to have 2 trains drive at each other at top speed and squish the elephant. I shit you not.
It's so miraculous that we've managed to get to this
like
level in society and have things when at one point they were like, why don't we just drive 2 trains together, kill this elephant, squish it up.
Squish, literally what they thought. And then
I thought it was going to be the reverse, pull it apart.
Well, then they discussed that.
That seems to make more sense.
Then they discussed feeding it carrots laced with arsenic because they felt that would be more humane somehow.
I guess so.
But then
a train?
Well, then it turns out that elephants' noses have over like 1,000 times the scent receptors that we have in ours, so they can smell like poisons and toxins in foods. That's why, like, when they in Africa and India, they can smell the toxins in the leaves and the trees, and that's why they don't eat it. And so what they eventually decided was the most effective thing to do was bring the circus to the next town. When the circus was in the town, they had the elephant perform again, and then they were like, oh, hey, for no free charge, we're going to hang this elephant out back. Come watch it.
Jesus Christ.
And so this town publicly hung they lynched an elephant, basically, because it had killed this guy. Yeah. And I don't want to get into the details of what happened therein because it was very depressing, but if you look up Mary the Murderous Elephant, there's a picture that looks very Photoshop because it's been touched up a lot over the years. I don't recommend
looking it up.
I don't recommend looking it up. It's like haunting in my mind. Like when I close my eyes, I can see it, but then they buried her like right by the railroad tracks using a big old crane to dig a grave.
When you're talking about the arsenic, I'm like, then you just have a giant dead elephant that you got to put somewhere.
Well, and
the train maybe will explode it.
Well, and then the worst part about the whole thing was that after the elephant died, the vet like examined the body and stuff like that, and she had an abscessed tooth. And they had noted in the circus when the guy was like prodding the elephant, he was prodding her in the face and around the trunk. And so he had hit her abscessed tooth, they believe, and that's what had caused her to go into a rage. So it's like basically this town lynched this whole elephant because these dumb fucks didn't know what they were doing and hired some dumbass who hurt the elephant, and then he got killed because of it.
Yeah, that's what it's. They still do fucked up shit to elephants.
I don't know why they still
elephants.
Do. Well, and elephants are actually very intelligent creatures. Yeah. It really breaks my heart because elephants are actually my favorite animal because they represent like strength and wisdom, and they're so smart. They can be the elephant that was killed, Mary. She could play 25 different songs on like various like trumpets. You know, just like damn.
I just don't, I feel like they're like, this is just a really big animal. Let's try to kill it.
Well, and it's like people are brutal. They're just really, really evil creatures, and didn't
a guy try to kill an elephant and then it fell on him and he died?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things they mentioned in here is that after she had killed the guy, she like calmed down because like, oh, that thing's not hurting me anymore. And some dude in the audience stood up with like a derringer and shot it 5 times, but it like didn't do anything. Like it kind of stood there and was like,
I'll take care of this.
Yeah, a guy said, I've got this, and pulled a derringer out of his sleeve and
then looked like a huge idiot.
Yeah, can you imagine trying to look like Big Dick in front of your wife?
I'm gonna kill this evil elephant.
Okay, here's the visual. You, a hardworking, let's say, man from a factory, early 18th century, industrial age, New York, probably working a slaughterhouse in unsafe conditions. You get 1 day off a week. Honestly, work 14-hour days. You're off on Sundays because, you know, the Lord. You go to church for 6 hours. And how do you want to enjoy the rest of your day? You hear the circus is in town. So you get your family all dressed up. You go together. You go down to the circus. You get your peanuts and your popcorn. You see the clowns and the seals and everything. You see the elephant parade, and it's so cute. And then you're sitting there with your family, and you're like, oh, that guy's not handling that elephant very well. I hope nothing absurd happens today. And then you see the elephant go and pick the guy up and throw him down and then and just stomp on him. Your first thought is, you know what? Dolores hasn't blown me in like 3 months. I think if I kill this elephant.
They had blowjobs back then.
You think they didn't suck dicks back then?
I mean, not.
When do you
properly.
think the first? I mean, yeah, I'm sure it wasn't a good technique. No. It was.
Well, yeah. Who was the first person that's like, I'm gonna put my mouth on a dick?
Well, I mean,
it was probably the opposite. Of that.
Yeah. Who was the first? Yeah, I'm pretty sure nobody thought it. I'm pretty sure it just happened
accidentally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Probably the same guy. Probably some caveman shit, and he thought like, pussy warm wet, mouth warm wet.
I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what we all think.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just feel like it's weird. When did condoms start popping off? Who was like, you know
honest
what we
to God,
have to do?
The Romans had condoms.
Well, yeah, but who was like, we've got to keep the cum in a thing so less babies happen?
From what I can recall from just like things I've read, the first like noted condom that they've been able to find in history was actual like sheepskin.
Yeah,
that you would.
Those are what I still use.
Or the sheep intestine that you would wrap around your penis and use that. But I'm kind of curious. Like, who's the first guy that was like, oh hey, if I don't nut in her, she won't have more babies?
Yeah, which I'm
because apparently some people still haven't figured it out.
Yeah, and that's what sometimes like. I think we take things for granted and you don't think about how crazy everything is.
Yeah.
These are always the thoughts I have after a night of raging. I'm always like, everything is insane that everything exists.
Yeah, like I was thinking about
at the end of the day, everything is crazy.
I was thinking about a news article I read recently about Chicago. Said local Chicago father beaten to death inside own home, father of 64 children. I
mean, that's... If you die
64 children?
If you die and you had 64 children, no one can be like, he didn't... I wish he could have been around longer. He didn't live
the Christmases
life.
And the Thanksgiving, the gift giving you have to ensue. Everybody got a penny.
Well, like that had to be with multiples of women because you
multitudes.
Yeah, unless
imagine each one's a different one.
Yeah, I would.
Showing up to his funeral, everybody just looks different, but somehow very similar.
Imagine the venue you have to book for that funeral.
Okay, so you got to picture 64 kids, at least
64 women.
I'm going to say 32 because maybe he doubled up on half of them.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair
I'm going to go ahead and say 45 because I'm sure some was just a pump and dump and that's how it happened. And
I mean, of course.
Then maybe he went back for more with some of the others. Maybe.
I want to know the time frame where the kids happened.
Same. Was it from like 13 to 64? Did he have like a newborn right
I like
when he
to
was
think
killed?
it was like from 20 to like 32.
Well,
he just had like a 12-year stretch that was unbelievable.
Well, logistically,
12 years, 64 kids. Quick math.
Okay, how do we even do the math here? Okay.
I don't know what I'm even.
What was it? 12 years, 64 kids.
Yeah. So 64 divided by 12, I think is 5. Maybe
5.3.
5.3. I don't know what I'm getting at here.
We'll say 5.
But what is my end game here?
Okay, 64 kids over 12 years would be 5 kids a year.
Okay. That's 5.3 kids a year.
5 kids a year?
5 kids a year? I mean, it's absurd, but it's
absurd.
Very...
The amount of women he's sleeping with to have 5 kids a year in 12 years?
He's sleeping with 5 women.
And I mean, there's a couple of variables there, too.
Because, yeah, if it's all women, if there's no repeats, it's 5 women a year. That's not absurd. And, if you break it down over 12 months, that's like every, I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, now
2.2 months.
When did it start getting ridiculous for his family? Because, like, at some point he had to be like, hey, here's my firstborn. And everybody's like, oh my God, excellent. And then,
hey,
like,
guys, 32nd born.
Boy's like, hey, here's another one. And it's like, oh, we doubled up. How wonderful. Hey, a third to the mix. Great. 4.
Well,
6.
When was he alive? When did he die? Was it recently?
Yeah, it was like very recently. It was in like the last month.
I was going to say back in the day, Little House on the Prairie.
No, this was like straight up like 2018 stuff.
I mean, he was 64, so back in the day, they was still acceptable.
I mean, it's not like it was Little House on the Prairie back in his day.
64?
Yeah, it takes 64 years ago.
Yeah, that's Little House on the Prairie.
It's like
to me.
60s or 70s when he would have been born.
No, it's not.
The 90s were 30 years ago almost.
Yeah. So then it was, all right, fuck you, whatever. My math is bad. We're doing way too much math.
No such thing. Just do some more fast math.
Yeah, and that's what I got, was that it was Little House in the Prairie days. There's still Little House in the Prairie days in, like, Utah and shit, probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's, like, Amish people and Mormons and stuff like that. I mean,
I need to know more about this guy's life.
The 60, I mean, we could look him.
Yeah.
Well, do you want me to look him up?
I'll pop a quick fact check here.
Pop up a father of 64 killed in Chicago and see what comes up. We're turning into the Joe Rogan experience.
I think I can just do father of 64. I'm going to guess that he's one of very
No, because it turns out that's the name of Father's next album.
I'm just doing father of 64. My father was 64 when I was born. I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Van Morrison became a father for the 4th time at 64.
Believe it.
We're learning a lot of other fun facts. Art Garfunkel also became a father again at 64.
He'll be 74 when his kid's 10.
He's going to be dead.
81, 83 when they graduate high school. Here's my dad.
I'm just getting the father of the Commodore 64 is dead. Sorry to break it to you guys.
Just now I gotta.
Yeah, this is.
I'm gonna find.
It's just
this.
a lot of people dying at 64, which is a good year to go. Yes, dead air. Why we research? That's why we need a person.
Yeah, I mean, could we hire an intern for year 2? Does anybody want to be an intern?
Yeah, free, unpaid. My man accused of stabbing father 100 times.
My name is God. I killed Satan.
Yes, that's me. That's my New York Times piece they did on me.
Man charged with killing wife in Markham, then taking kids, prompting Amber Alert. Lovely.
Yeah, this is, we did say year 2 was getting dark, and it is, this episode is pretty dark.
List of rampage killers, familicides in the United States.
Yeah, I've read a lot about rampage killing. It's when you just go fucking berserk for
Father
like 72 hours.
64 children killed. Yeah, I love going on a berserkicide.
Yes, I didn't know that was the term, but I love it so much more.
Distraught parents blame lack of oxygen after 64 children die in Indian hospital over 6 days. That is not
all right,
what I wanted at all.
All right, never mind.
Why did the rampage killer list come up again?
Again, it's just every Google search.
Today is like today's a weird day.
Local eatery. List of rampage killing. It's just enticing you. It's so easy to do. You just go on a spree. Well, there's a difference between spree and rampage. I can't remember.
I feel like a rampage is
rampage
done in
doesn't
anger.
have a cooling down period.
Yeah, rampage is where it's just like going. Like,
but spree also like
I feel like
you're just going.
Okay,
going,
I feel
going.
like a shooting where there's like multiple victims and it ends in a shootout with the killer being shot. That's a rampage. But a spree would be if it was like multiple shootings from the same guy across like a span of time. Because a killing spree is something where I feel like a killing spree is something where there's a lot of crimes in a short amount of time. But a rampage is something done very quick all at once.
Maybe, but that's usually a massacre.
A massacre, I feel, is about the volume done, not...
It only has to be 5 people to be a massacre.
Is it really? Yeah. So 3's company.
Yeah. 4's a crowd.
5's a massacre.
5's a massacre, my favorite 80s sitcom. Didn't last very long.
No, it turns out after...
First episode. 5's a massacre.
Front-on executions of headshots from behind.
Very intense for 80s primetime television, but, you know... So we got where we
turns out we imagined the show.
Yeah, I bet there's someone listening to this just screaming like, "No, you idiots! A rampage killer is this. A spree killing is this."
If you have a degree in some type of criminology and you want to tell us the difference between a spree and a rampage, get at us at 4027 Dapper and let us know.
Yeah, you can tell us. I don't think anyone has degrees. They just know.
Yeah, I mean, if you know the logistic difference, let me know. I'd be interested in finding out.
Cultivated.
I mean, it's something. I mean, we definitely got to get that cult going this year.
All right, I do. Yes, we do. We still need an emoji, and we need a good cult name, and we need you guys to start like actively participate in the cult. Remember to scream loudly in public.
Loudly.
I'm gonna do a rampage killing. Slim will do a spree killing. I was gonna say a slim killing. You create a whole new terminology. You
What's
do
a slim
something
killing?
fucking crazy.
My shirt's off in Chicago.
Yeah, they're like, that's just a slim.
That's what
a slim killing.
That's what we call a slim killing.
I don't know what your killing would be, but it would be.
I don't even want to hurt anything. I'm a pacifist.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's part of it. Is you finally reach your breaking point. Yeah,
we're getting there. I'll tell you what, man. In that crowd last night, I thought I died. I think I died a couple of times.
I died at the first Brockhampton show, and I died a lot when we didn't get to see them at Soundset.
I died a whole lot when we didn't get to see them at Soundset.
I don't think I can ever die, guys. I'm invincible. I didn't know how to bring it up, but it's year 2. I feel like we can let a few more things off of our chest.
Yeah, we're never gonna die.
Out of our chest.
Chents?
Chastity belts.
Let our chastity belts out.
Yeah, unlock our chastity belts. Really let those things swing around for a minute.
Better than what? Think we can get chastity belts off Wish.com?
I've seen a chastity belt in person.
Think we can get some Whippet containers off of Wish.com?
I mean, I believe we can.
Do you think they're pre-filled Whippet containers, or do you think that we have to fill them ourselves?
You probably are under the assumption they're pre-filled, but then you get
show up and they're empty.
Yeah, they're empty. They're sold by a guy who's just high out of his mind on Whippets.
Turns out he did all the Whippets.
Yeah,
and then sent them to you.
Yeah, he's like, it's just my memories in there now.
Now a little bit of my soul's in there. Check it out a little. I'm gonna put my soul in here.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding-ding-dinger, bro. Had my dingers hanging out last night.
Do we know the best Whippet brand?
Probably
there's got to be.
Probably Ready Whip.
Right, that's like but maybe the generic stuff is great. It's like coding, how there's activists,
okay,
high-tech,
we want to talk a topical story.
Yeah.
So at a Ketchatories in Byron back in the day, if you remember such a thing.
I don't think it gets more specific than that. That might be the most specific point of reference we've ever had on the show. Maybe.
That's possibly.
I mean,
Ketchatories? Do you remember Ketchatories?
Yeah, because I had a teacher, Miss Ketchatory. And then I remember that, and I was, as a child, of course, assumed that she owned that. Because
it was probably
everyone whose name matches anything.
Yeah, every Smith is related.
Mr. Sullivan, owns the grocery store.
Yeah.
Where you steal liquor. Allegedly.
God damn it.
What's the statute for my crimes?
7 years, I think it is.
I think we've been over this, and it was a gray area. But I think for shoplifting, 7 years. So let's list off 3 quick shoplifting experiences.
If you want me to.
The feds are listening. No, what happened at Ketchatories?
My grandpa told me this back in the day because it was a Sunday ritual that we'd be home on Sundays. Grandpa usually knock around 9 or 10 in the morning, and he'd bring over call him a bag of goodies from Ketchatories, and it was always the fresh donuts they'd bake. And if it was around lunchtime, he'd bring us chicken and donuts. So we'd have chicken and donuts on like Sunday for brunch. And him and my mom would just sit and talk, and he told us he had just come from Ketchatories where he got the food, and he was talking to the cashier, and it turns out old Pete Ketchatory had to fire half of his stock boys because he caught them doing whippets in the back with all the whipped cream. Because
when was this?
This was when I was I want to say young. I don't think I was a teenager. If I was a teenager, it had to be like
early 90s.
No, this had
early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. Like this was like a couple of years before the store closed.
When you were a teenager.
When I was a teenager. When I was an it. Yeah, I moved from Derry, Maine after the whole it thing to Byron, Illinois.
Of course.
I had to get far away from that shit. Far away from that shit.
But you could never get far enough.
Never far enough away from the screaming.
Yeah.
That was my it. Whenever I see it, it's that. I just see a balloon like under the bathroom door, and then I come out and it's just the kid drying his hands.
On the way here, I saw a person with a car full of balloons to the point where I thought it was just a car full of balloons driving down the back roads.
Well, and so apparently what had happened was he had too many people return cans of whipped cream because they went to go use it on their ice cream or their pie, and nothing would come out. And so he set up security cameras in the back, and he caught his whole stockroom team coming.
I want the footage.
They get the Ready Whip in, and then he would. And I picture back. This was early 2000s, so I feel like like security cameras and stuff weren't like at par yet. Like it was just the video where like you watch the playback and you just hear like that.
Yeah, and it's grainy, and it's like
and it's got like the lines running through it.
It couldn't even be full video, so it's actually just pictures in a rapid succession.
And it's just dudes like it looks like a strobe light, but it's dudes doing whippets and like passing out on the floor. But he was like, yeah, I was talking to the cashier, and she said that Pete had to fire half his stock boys because the whipped cream kept coming back without any air in it.
Did your grandpa know what a whippet was?
I'm sure he might have. I mean, it turns out my grandpa knew a lot of things that I didn't know he knew after I found out after his death.
When you found all the empty whippet containers, which is why you ended up becoming a whippet addict.
I mean, I wanted to keep it in the family, and it turns out it skips a generation. So my mother didn't have the addiction, but I sure do. And it turns out it skips the women in my mom's side of the family. So my mom and sister are fine, but me and my grandpa had a horrid whippet addiction.
I'm doing a quick search here on the Googles for when whippets were created, because I really want to know who was the first guy who did the whippet.
Well, I mean,
I need the first guy who created a condom and the first guy who
created a condom, first guy who thought of a blowjob, first guy that did a whippet.
One of my favorite things here, people also ask on Google, are whippets legal? What happens when you inhale nitrous oxide? What is a whippet? Do whippets show up on a drug test?
I feel like it's a gas thing, like a brain thing. So how would it show up on a drug test?
The people who are doing whippets probably have.
Okay, I feel, and call me crazy here. You know how they talk about like the first, who do you think the first guy was to grab a cow teat and drink that? You know,
I ask myself that every day.
Cheetos were invented because a farmer was trying to create cheap feed for his cows, and he created the actual Cheeto base out of like the cornmeal, and then he had brought some inside because he was feeding the animals and brought them inside to like use the bathroom or something, and his wife took them and covered them in like cheese or like a cheese flavoring or something like that, and that's how Cheetos were born. I like to think that with the whippet, somebody was like, mouthful of whipped cream, and went to go just squirt it up because they were like, I always go like this. I bet if I squirt it up, it'll come out my nose. And they did it, and they just got high as fuck. And it's like me the first time I jerked off and I thought I was going to be a millionaire. Yeah. They're like, I got to tell someone about this.
Well, actually, just a brief...
That's my belief anyway.
Well, I'm going to shatter your world. First off, the article that I'm reading in the first paragraph points out that in January of 2012, it came to light that Demi Moore was addicted to whippets.
Demi Moore?
Yeah.
I loved her when I was younger. I thought
because you guys were going through a similar rough
She was like my celebrity crush when I was a kid.
Yeah, because she was always high on whippets. But apparently it's just nitrous oxide, and that has been abused since the 1700s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know who was... I want to find...
Because that's just laughing gas, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what they give you at the dentist and
This is the surprise history of laughing gas. But I'm trying to figure out when someone found a can of Ready Whip and just ripped it.
Well, because... Okay, so...
God, this is a very detailed...
article about whippets?
Yeah, I'm only in the 1800s.
Okay, so check it out. If you send $5 to the Dapper Dads, you can hear Slim read this long, lengthy article about whippets while doing whippets.
Okay, it looks like since 1971, deaths have been linked to oxide inhalation.
Deaths? How many whippets do you have to do to die?
There's 52 deaths since 1971, but I don't know when that goes to.
So the 70s.
In 2002,
so do you think the dude with 64 kids was doing whippets?
I mean, of course.
What if he was the first whippet guy? He had like 15 kids, and he's like, fuck, how am I going to feed these kids? I just want some whipped cream. And he just went to shoot it in his mouth and got, high off the nitrous oxide.
Yeah, it said in 2002, 40 people died.
So there was an epidemic after Y2K of whippet deaths?
Well, yeah, people were probably like, I didn't want to live. I don't want to live with this feeling.
Man, I don't know why this comes up every time.
But now all of my whippets are gone.
Everything's going to be wonderful
how do you
someday.
How do you spell whippets?
In my WHIPPET?
See, I was thinking WHIP-IT.
Whip
it, yeah. But then Google tried to autocorrect me to whippets like you spelt it, which is a dog.
There's a dog called a whippet?
Yeah. It's a they arrived.
What does a whippet look like?
It looks like a greyhound.
I want a whippet just to call him Whippet.
Come here, Whippet.
Whippet, come here, boy.
Yeah, that's what you do. And I just lob you a can of Ready Whip. Like, come here, sweetie.
catch it like a cold beer or a taco during a concert. What if during a live event we just toss out cans of Ready Whip at people?
I think then we're accomplices.
I mean, it's not accomplices. We're giving people a tasty, creamy treat to enjoy.
Everything you never wanted to know about Whippets.
Okay, I mean this in a way. This is going to sound like
It's
I want
called hippie crack also.
This is going to sound like I want to do a Whippet, but I just found out Woodman's is carrying almond milk-based whipped cream, so I want to get some because we're talking about whipped cream so much.
Yeah.
But now I fear I have to do a Whippet if I buy it.
I mean, yeah. We got to know what we're talking about.
Would you do a Whippet with me?
It's funny how you're trying to pretend that you don't have a serious problem. Yeah, I'd like to try them off camera.
I've never...
It's just a room full of Whippets.
Better than the room full of everything else.
I mean, there's rooms, and you are in them, and you're...
There's rooms in this house, boys.
But yeah, get at us with your Whippet fantasies. I'd like to see some
if you've
autoerotic.
If you've ever done a Whippet, get at us and let us know what it's like.
I guarantee you one of our fans has done a Whippet.
I'm curious who. Okay. If
you anonymously
if I had to
submit.
Guess, the email is fastfingerslim@dapperdadspodcast@gmail.com.
I'm like, very specific. The same email.
Hi, this is Slim from the Dapper
episodes.
Dads Podcast, longtime fan, first time submitter.
Long time, first time.
Long time listener, first time submitter. I just wanted to say that I have a bit of a Whippet addiction. And I'm being very brave and coming forward anonymously and telling it here on the show.
Hey, this is Slim. I'm coming forward anonymously.
Because, you know,
he
I'm
was
high on Whippets
when he wrote this.
Yeah, high on Whippets when I write everything.
Yeah, I mean...
High on Whippets when I do everything. People at work are like, Adam, you're so nice. Where you look really cold, though. It's summer. I'm like, yeah, I was back in the freezer stocking things for a little bit. Don't mind me.
It was weird.
Don't mind me. You want some money?
It was weird when we started the podcast and you kept your shame hidden, and then you just started coming real fucked up and then breaking out the... It's like when you see like one of your friends do coke for the first time and you're like, oh, this is dark and weird.
Yeah.
Like, everybody
because like you always like hear about coke, but then like you see someone do it.
When you see it, it's always in dark rooms, and you're like,
yeah, it's in dark rooms or bathrooms or like corners. Like nobody's like doing it because like you don't do it out in the open. It's not something you should be doing out in the open.
No, I mean I've seen it, and it's just always weird.
I have a friend of mine. He told me about the one time he did cocaine. He was out at the bar and he was and you'll appreciate this because I know you know this. He was so drunk. He said if he had one more drink of alcohol, he was going to be blackout drunk. And he said he knows that point in his brain. He says he can feel it because he can't feel his whole face or his legs below the knees. And that's when he's...
That seems like you should stop a few before that.
That's when he's like...
This is my point where I'm tipsy. Then I get drunk. Then I can't feel some of my face and most of my legs. Then I get blackout drunk.
Well, he said he was like blackout drunk and his friends were still like trying to go and party and stuff. And he was like, man, I can't. And his friend was like, well, do you want a bump? It'll help. And he said he took the bump and he was not drunk anymore. He said he just was...
I've heard as well.
Another odd coke story I know is very similar. A friend of mine on her 21st birthday went out to the bar with her friends and was obviously getting shit-faced. Everyone was buying her drinks and stuff. And her friend brought a dime bag because they were like, well, you can just keep getting drunk. And then if you do bumps, you'll go up and then you get drunk and do a bump. And apparently that's what they did all fucking night was they got to the bar like 8 o'clock and they just started getting drunk. And then they would go do bumps in the bathroom and then come back out and get drunk again and do bumps and get drunk until like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And we had a fun joke going for a long time where we made it like a Dr. Seuss book. You do 2 bumps. I do 2 bumps too.
People stop doing coke. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's not.
There's fentanyl in everything.
It's just not good for you. I mean, especially you with your
coke's not good
septum
for
and
you?
shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
can you
don't do
imagine?
coke.
I'm just saying, like, if you ever did, like,
I was told specifically when I had my nose surgery not to snort anything, and it felt a little targeted. But yeah, the things people have tried to make me snort, it is a good fallback to be like, the doctor told me I can't. My nose will fall apart.
Well, I can't do coke because my heart will explode.
I mean,
They actually told me that when I got my pacemaker, and they were
really
like,
coke heavy.
well, because when I first went to my cardiologist after I got out of like the intensive care unit and stuff, they're like, okay, so we just need to go over things that you can and can't do now. When I got the pacemaker in, I was told that I can no longer work as an arc welder. I
know that was your dream.
I can't be a construction worker, and I cannot work near large magnets or radio signals.
Oh, well, our radio signal from propelling this show.
What do you think makes me such a monster?
I mean, a plethora of things that we don't have time to get into.
Nah.
But
But I do remember them saying
they told you could do whippets then?
Well, they told me they were like, you can't. She was a nurse practitioner. I remember she was very, very nice all the time, and she was like good about explaining everything. She wasn't like a bitch about stuff. You know, like how you go to some doctors and they're just real like cold and hard about shit.
Yeah, every doctor.
She always acted like she actually really genuinely cared, and she said that she enjoyed dealing with me because she dealt with old fucks all day at the heart center, because like obviously I have an old man disease.
Yeah.
And she said that it's actually nice to like sit down and talk to somebody that actually like listens to like what she says, because apparently like old folks, when they always say you should listen to your doctor, you know, because your doctor went to school, knows what's best, knows what's going on with you,
but they're always practicing.
But then apparently she said every old person she deals with just comes in and wants to fight her about it. They're like, well,
they've lived their lives.
Well, they're like, well, you should
know better than everyone.
They're like, well, you should probably start doing less salt and less red meat, because it would be better. Well, I like my steaks fried in a pan with a bunch of Lowry's on it. And it's like, well, you shouldn't eat that anymore. They did recommend I don't eat pan fried meats after that, just because of the grease and everything, but that didn't stop me. And they said no stimulants, and she's like, okay, so no methamphetamines, no cocaine, no nothing like that. And I looked at her and I was like, what do you think I do exactly? She's like, I don't know, but you're
She's
young.
Like, I don't know, and then you're doing a whippet. Like,
I don't know, just under my shirt, just like a big like can here, and you just. Do you have an oxygen thing under your shirt, sir?
Yes, they said I need help breathing.
Yes, they said I can't breathe, and if I feel short of breath, I need to simply reach down and
actually
just take a breath.
Where am I?
Where am I? Who are you? Why are you made out of snakes? If I pull one snake out, they'll fall apart.
We do have a submission that we did not get to last episode because we talked about something last episode. I don't remember what. But this is from Yaz. Use? It's just
Yays.
30 minutes of us.
Jays?
Aja?
Jaws. Yay.
Aju sauce?
Gravy.
Speaking of
Thanks for the submission, Gravy.
Speaking of jus sauce, the email is greasypussy
Fuck
at
yes.
juiceballs.com.
Yes, you are my hero. I just want you to know that you're keeping the greasy pussy train alive, and I appreciate it.
What a horrible train to be stuck
we got
on
a very
for
nice
3.5
We got a very
hours.
nice invitation from her that if we're ever coming through Nebraska, we should stop by.
So we will be at your house in 4 days.
Yeah. So Yaz, if you're listening to this, we are already planning on coming out. Don't ask how we found your address.
I don't even know where Nebraska is.
That's upsetting because I know you graduated high school.
Yeah, but you think I had to know where Nebraska
I mean, you
was?
don't know what like a basic map of the United States looks like?
I know what a map looks like.
Are you telling me if I put down a map of the United States without any obviously the states are divided?
I would hope so.
You couldn't tell me where Nebraska was on a map of the United States?
I have an inkling.
I'm pulling up I'm pulling this map up right now, and I want to see.
Crush this. I can't wait.
Unmarked.
I don't know where a lot of states are, if we're going to be honest. Just the big ones. I got Texas, California, Florida.
Okay, here we go.
The Midwest.
Go ahead and point out Nebraska for me on this map.
God, it's one of those things that you're confident about until you see it, and then you're like, now I'm unsure.
Because I can tell you all 50 states just from looking at this.
I don't believe that. Let's see. Yeah, I thought I was going to do way better. Ooh, maybe this is great for audio.
This is shocking. That
No, I was thinking Nevada.
Nevada's even more obvious.
But I think I know where Nevada is.
Okay, which one do you think Nevada is? Point that one out to me.
Is it this one?
Yes, that's Nevada.
Bitch, see?
Okay, now show me Nebraska.
Nebraska is right here.
Nope.
I was pointing here.
Nope.
Am I close?
You're actually so close it hurts.
It's this one.
Yeah, that's Nebraska.
That's the one I was pointing at.
Okay, so check this out. When you know how I talk about how I had to drive to Kansas all the time and stuff? This is how we would do it. So we're right about here in Illinois. We go through.
I'm actually going to stop you because this is horrible.
We go through the face of the chef and shoot through. We'd avoid Nebraska entirely because one time we went through, because this is Kansas and we were all the way down here, so we go through Missouri up like that. One time we got lost coming up through Kansas trying to get to Missouri and ended up in this little corner of Nebraska over here, and it was nothing special to look at. So if there let us know if there's anything cool in Nebraska outside.
There's got to be something.
I mean, there's people there, so there has to be stuff. All I hear all the time is that it's just corn, though.
Yeah, but that's what they say about Illinois. And everything too.
But we got like so much shit here.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
So
more.
tell us about Nebraska. Let us know a little bit in another submission.
But she said, "Hey guys, thanks for the double shout out. I'm listening to Podcast Archive, a real George Lucas move going backwards. And I recently listened to the episode where you guys were talking about Kanye and his recent moves. I know what stands you guys are, but let's be honest, how much of his behavior is because he's trying to compete with woke rappers like Kendrick and J. Cole? George Bush hates black people, won't cut it in today's social climate anymore.
True.
Maybe slavery is a choice was his attempt at selling albums." I feel like we've touched on this before.
I feel like we have. My biggest thing behind it, and my sister still tries to fight me on this because her and I are also huge Kanye stans, and I have a long-running theory that everything that has happened with Kanye is a subtle mix of his bipolar disorder and just the fact that he is Kanye West. I mean, he is known for doing outlandish things. I definitely think this whole thing was a plot to sell albums and like make awareness and stuff like that, because when you think about like Yeezy season, think about the term. When we always say when there's like rumblings of like demos and like studio sessions, we're always like Yeezy season coming, and it doesn't mean the clothing line. It just means like he's going to be doing something for the culture that's very noticeable. Every time a Kanye West album comes out, there's a whole bunch of news and culture and everything all around it. So in my opinion, this was just where he's at in life. And I don't think it was like necessarily an artistic statement, but I think he was definitely in on a lot of it. I feel like some of it was Kanye being Kanye, and because I've heard some batshit insane stories about like personal time with him.
Absolutely unbelievable.
So to me, and he did clarify later, he was like, it wasn't a choice for the people to be enslaved, it was a choice to do that, and we kept consciously choosing as a whole to do that.
The biggest problem with him is he speaks before he thinks.
Well,
consistently. Then when he said that, it was just something that flew out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And then he took to Twitter and explained and was talking more about being mentally enslaved and how there could still be slavery today because
and there is slavery today.
There's so many different things. So but then people never pick up those as articles.
Right.
You want to run with the headline because he said a horrific thing. That's such a dumb, stupid thing to say.
Right. Yeah. But I mean,
you just say something. He's crazy and he just says something out of his mouth.
And I mean, think about the friends that you have that have mental disorders. You know, friends that have bipolar, friends that have anxiety disorders or depression and stuff like that.
You mean us?
Yeah, us. Ugh, Jesus, us.
Yeah.
But I mean, like people with disorders like that do tend to lash out and act out in ways that sometimes hurt people around them in ways that don't make sense to people but only them. You know, my dad's bipolar and he acts in ways that confuse me and scare me.
My father's also bipolar and acts in ways.
Mine's like legit bipolar.
Yes, mine is also legit.
Doesn't
bipolar.
take medicine for it.
My dad likes to take different medicine and do a real Russian roulette of what the fuck's
see what
happen.
Happens.
Yeah,
and so it's like
and then go off.
And so it's like I would see his behavior where he would like be like, hey, I just want to make sure you're eating enough at your mom's house. So let's go to the grocery store and get you some groceries. And he would get me groceries. But then a week later, I'd get in the car and he'd be like, Jesus Christ, you're getting fat. How much are you eating? So it was like, it's things that go back and forth. And like he would say things sometimes. Like he told me when I was a kid, he thought he could read my mind because one time he was thinking of someone. If he could read, that's probably why he doesn't talk to me anymore.
That's where our brain powers are coming from. Our dads could read our minds.
Well, he told my mom that he thought he could read my mind because he was thinking of a restaurant, and I went, hey Dad, can we go here to eat? And my mom went, yeah, because he's a kid and that sounded like a good place to eat. And he's like, no, but I was thinking of it. I really think I can. And like my mom was like waiting for the laugh to drop, and like it didn't happen. So I mean, I can only imagine that Kim and Kanye have to have conversations like that where he's like, I think I can read North's mind, and she's like, why do you think that?
Well, yeah, imagine being in love with someone and having children with them and being married and having a whole family.
Not just that, having an empire that you've built.
Well,
with
I mean,
your
just as a general person, and then you turn to your loved one and they're like, I think I can read the kid's mind. And you're like, Jesus Christ, what do I do?
Yeah, imagine having children with that person and they're like, I can read their mind. So it's like, I see where people with like mental disabilities do lash out and do things that they maybe don't necessarily understand. They don't think before they do it, and Kanye is no exception. Just because he's so infamous and in the spotlight, though, it obviously gets more focus on it and stuff like that.
People want to hate him, and he's constantly pinned against things. He's also had the shit with his mom, and then like the Taylor Swift thing was stupid, but like was so ridiculous for him to deal with. Yeah, and like he goes through a lot of shit. He put himself in the limelight, so there's
I think his mother was a big factor in
ever got over that.
I think it was a big factor in what he should and shouldn't do too, because she was his manager, so he was probably doing like crazy shit back in the day too, and she was like, "No, son, you need to not do that. We're trying to build a career here. You need to do this."
And also the theme of having the money finally and getting your mom like lipo surgery, and then she fucking dies from it. So if you never would have been famous, your mom would still be
but then
here.
You can't stop being famous because you're famous, and like that has to I mean, we created a monster in a way. In a way we as fans did, because it's like we idolize Kanye so much that it's like there has to be an insane amount of pressure on a man like that, because he's seen as the greatest producer of all time, one of the greatest rappers of all time. So it's like there has to be. And his mother was his best friend. Yeah. So it's like obviously losing someone like that is going to crack you.
And he also almost died in the car accident. He went through the crazy breakup with the girl he thought he was going to marry, and said on all the early records he would marry her. And like, there's been a lot of shit in his life. And honestly, I was thinking about this the other day, because there's this rapper I like, Blue, BLU, and like he has some of my favorite songs. Like one of my favorite, if I'm feeling down, one of my favorite songs is "It's Okay" by Blue, and it's just such an uplifting, beautiful song. He's like a rapper not a ton of people know about. Like he's a big underground guy. Yeah. And he is completely insane now. Like he goes on Twitter and he'll say like schizophrenic shit. Like there's people listening to him from his refrigerator, and like Evidence and Alchemist. He used to work with them, and he's like, they're with the cops, and they're fucking kids with the cops, and like he's completely like there's something so wrong with him, and no one.
Well, and it's so sad when you see it, because it's like
I feel like there's so many entertainers, like people can't deal with that pressure. Yeah, a lot of people can't, and especially with Kanye adding on all the other shit that's happened to him over the career, and the fact that he's still constantly like, so many people hate him with such a fucking fiery passion. It's ridiculous, but I get it, and like. Yeah, it doesn't justify him saying crazy things, but I think it is something. I think there's like a good mixture of he knows it will promote his album. I do agree that's a part of it. I think that was more the Trump ridiculous shit he knew would get people talking. And then there's just a huge chunk where he doesn't think about what he says, and he's unstable mentally. Like there's a lot of facets there, but yeah, you can't deny every time there is like an album coming out or something, he does start to become more public, because otherwise he was like off Twitter. Now he's on Twitter constantly. Like he comes out more in the public, and coming out in the public he's gonna end up doing or saying something.
Well, and it's like he does this thing where he comes out and he like recluses himself. So like he'll come out and he'll recluse, he'll come out and he'll recluse,
and he was just in the hospital after the Pablo tour when he went on the crazy rant, and then he had to be checked into the hospital. Like he's unstable, and it's upsetting, and hopefully he can get better, but he's even like Rhymefest says, like he doesn't work with him anymore. And Rhymefest wrote like Jesus Walks and shit, like was his guy forever, and he says he can't even be around him because he's just crazy. Like that's what happens. You're in the fucking spotlight for too long. You are like brash and say crazy things. everybody hates you. You're such a high profile person with such a high profile family. And yeah, it gets out of control. So we've said, I think the thing we always end on with that is that we can't justify everything he does.
No, I can't sit here and stand behind everything, but like, man.
But the music,
God, it's so good.
So, yeah, if he was...
Yeezus, one of my top 3 albums of all time.
Yeah, there's a lot of top albums. Even the new album, I wasn't sure at first, and it's grown on me tremendously.
Same. I will say, dudes that think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is their favorite are getting cucked right now.
Yeah, that's the one that is always like the best one, everyone always says. And even Kanye, he's like, I know how to make the best album of all time. I made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Yeah. That meme you said, where he was like, why is it called Ghost Town? Because there was ghosts in town. Yeah, that interview's one of my favorite because he's fucking with was it Lady Gaga where he's like, what the fuck does she know about cameras?
Yeah.
That whole interview's ridiculous. That's what I mean. Sometimes he says shit that's just incredible.
Yeah.
And it's still crazy. That's the thing is you want to point at one thing and be like, that comment was insane. I'm like, also all the other ones are insane. Heidi Slimane.
Also,
I was wearing tight
here's a
jeans
laundry
forever.
list.
Yeah, everything he says is insane. Some of them are just more palatable than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll always support him until he does. I don't even know what he could do at this point to just completely ruin it, but I'm sure it's in the works.
Yeah.
So yeah, we feel strongly about Kanye, but we agree with you. He is an interesting fellow.
He
Kanye,
is insane.
reach out to us.
When you hear Kanye coming up very loudly up the road, you'll know that we're close to your house.
Yeah. But yeah, so send us some more submissions, everybody. This is year 2. It's getting dark. Send us your darkest. Send us your secrets. This is something I wanted to do for a long time.
Anonymous
submission. I feel like I still have people who struggle with this, and it is weird. The website www.thedapperdads.com. You click on submit, the link at the top. It'll bring you to a box. There's 2 fields at the top. A name, which can be anonymous. The email can be anything, like we just said, a ridiculous email. bigdick@smalldick.com.
Greasy pussy, greasy pussy, greasy pussy.
At cheeseballs.com. It can be anything. Just has to have an at and blank.com. It can be anything in there. So the name can be whatever. The email can be fake. We have no idea who it is. There's several that I still think about submissions where I'm like, I wonder who that is.
I know, yeah.
So send us. I'm not fucking with you. It's completely anonymous. We have no idea who you are.
If you
put your
do
name
not
on
put
it.
anything in, you can tell us anything you want. I want some juicy fucking secrets. I want to hear some crazy shit.
And I don't want fake shit like you murdered a person.
If you did, I want to know all the details.
Yeah, I mean, if you really did it, I guess that puts us in a weird spot.
Yeah,
Don't
because
give
then we
us
have
the murder.
evidence. Yeah, don't be like, I killed this person at
crimes.
this day and time.
The worst crimes and shit.
Just give us like a good secret
give us a
that
weird,
you have.
Yeah, give us
something
like
weird.
a weird secret.
It doesn't have to be like hurtful or like
it doesn't even have to
evil.
be sad. It could be like a funny secret.
Yeah, it could just be like, I don't know, like what's a fun secret we could tell right now?
I don't know. When I worked at Chuck E. Cheese, sometimes I would comb my hair with forks.
Like Lenny?
Huh?
Like Lenny in that one episode?
I don't know.
Or was it Mo? Because I know Mo had the sandwich bread bags at one point, and then I think he combed his hair with a fork.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, you can see that
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just some weird, stupid shit like that. And that was alleged also. I never did that.
I'm just trying to think of any good secrets that I have.
Yeah.
That aren't gross or weird.
I know. Yeah, let's just anonymously get ours out there so we could get a load off of our shoulders.
Yeah, let's do that.
Like, oh yes, someone used to whatever weird thing.
Some guy hung an elephant?
Yeah, like, Jesus, how are you still alive?
Are you 900 years old?
I have 64 kids. Shit, me too.
Shit, don't we all?
I started young. Real young.
Like 12?
Yeah.
Like the first time you had a boner, you used it right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the first time ever having a boner, you get someone pregnant?
I heard a story about a girl I lived up the street from. Her first boner got someone pregnant. Weird situation.
Sounds like a secret.
My first boner, someone pointed at it and tried to shame me, and I said, "That's not a boner. I just shit the front of my pants."